Easy social media ideas for churches and youth ministries. Idea number 2, which is a continuation of the video playlist that is linked right here at the top of the screen. I'm going to show you and tell you how I get more done by doing less. You know, we explored in the last video the first part of my 4-part church social challenge framework, and in this video I am going to tell you exactly how we capture these videos with the results that you see here on screen if you're watching on YouTube. And then I'm also going to show you how I set up the Photoshop template for this game type along with the game type included in the last video, and it's going to be here all shown on screen. So if you're listening, you may want to hop over to the YouTube channel for this one. And as always, over here on YouTube, there are chapters included at the bottom of this video so that you can skip around to the parts that are most relevant to you. But social challenge idea number 2 that we do in our church and in our student ministry is a game called...
Name of the game is 7 questions.
Now here's the deal about 7 questions. 7 questions is essentially a guessing game. So you have 2 contestants and they sit across from each other or next to each other on screen, and one contestant has something in their brain. Honestly, think like 20 questions, but we just reduced it down to 7. So contestant number 1, they're going to have something in their brain. Let's just pretend the thing in their brain is a green snowflake mug, as you see here on screen, that I'm drinking my coffee out of this morning. And so they're going to say, I am thinking of a thing. And so then the next person has 7 questions to try and guess what thing they are guessing. And so they'll ask them yes or no based questions. As they ask them, either a check mark for yes answers will show up on the screen, or a X for wrong answers a check mark for yes answers and an X for no answers will show up on the screen, because it's just going to be keeping track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on screen of how many questions have been asked. By the 7th question, they need to submit their guess, and then at the very end of the video, the person will say, let us know down below in the comments how you did. Now here's one of the reasons that I love this game. If I'm thinking about hybrid and if I'm thinking about melding my in-person along with my digital together, I like this game because the way that we open it up, and here's the script for it, feel free to copy it. It goes like this. The name of the game is 7 questions. If you want to play along, go ahead and close your eyes. The answer is going to be right here on screen. Category is thing. Here we go. And then the other person will start asking them yes or no questions. And so in theory, if someone's scrolling through social media and they're encouraged to play along, or at least given the option to play along, and they're being told to close their eyes, if they close their eyes, the green mug will pop up on the screen with the eyes closed, and so you won't actually see it. I'll add some sort of sound effect to let it know that it's gone, and then they can open their eyes again, and they can try and guess the item along with the other person in the game in real life who is trying to guess it. Now, just like the draft style videos that we do, these are a fantastic way to get students mingling together, to invite them to be a part of our social media. All kinds of different setups and gear recommendations are also included in the templated link that was in the last episode. It's also going to be included, same link in this episode. And so viewers can play along. The people in the room get to play along. People in the studio that we have are getting a chance to kind of like run the room and run audio and run video and edit all these things. But what I want to do is I want to show you how I have created a template. And so if you are watching here on YouTube, you'll get an opportunity to see. I'm going to be sharing my screen, and what you're going to be seeing right here in just a couple seconds is my screen with the Photoshop template. And so right here, this is the template that I use. And so the very first thing here in Photoshop is I have this layer right here, and it's just like a TikTok template layer. And so I use that for this, as well as if you look right here on screen, this is our draft template. I just have that on screen so that I know where the elements for social media are, right? I know that TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, their menu options are right aligned, right? So the follow button, the like button, the comment button, all that stuff's on the right side of the screen. So I try to stay on the left side of the screen. And I also know down here at the bottom is where the text or the captions or any of the other comments will kind of pop up along with the menu. So I try to kind of stay away from there. I just downloaded this template off of Google. If you download this template for me, it'll be included right here in this Photoshop file as the bottom most layer. I just have it title as layer 1 because I haven't changed it yet. But you, if you're not going to use this template that I have, or if you don't have Photoshop, you can just grab something off of Google to kind of put that in at the base of whatever editor you're using, something on maybe Canva or something even on your phone. Or if you are using your phone, you may not be able to import a layer like this, but if you are using your phone, just know to kind of stay away from the left and the bottom, right? Those are sort of like the danger zones, so to speak, of social media, of Instagram Reels, of TikTok, and all that type of stuff. So anyway, so this is what my template right here looks like. Like I said, it's for the game 7 questions. And so I'll have student A and student B. And let me just give you a little hack. If you're recording these in bulk, which we typically do, I make the student say their name, and then I also make the student spell it. Because when the student comes back on, I do want their name to be on screen, first name only. And when I do that, I want their name to be on screen, and I want it to be spelled correctly. And so if I don't know any of their names, or if I didn't know exactly how to spell it, having them spell it helps me make sure that I get their name exactly right on the template. That's just a little hack for running the room. But I cut all that out. I don't include like, my name is Nick, N-I-C-K. I take that part out. I might say, my name is Nick, cut, N-I-C-K, and then the next person, my name is Caleb, C-A-L-E-B, cut out the C-A-L-E-B, and then say, the name of the game is 7 questions. Or I might just cut all the name stuff out together and jump right there to where it says the name of the game is 7 questions, because my name and his name is going to be on the screen together, and therefore we don't have to, worry about getting that across. The kind of name tag thing right here matters. Now you'll notice that they're behind some of these other layers, and that's okay, because in Photoshop, what we're going to do when we jump over here into Premiere, we get to adjust where they are and what layer they're at. So in this particular one, you'll notice that the students' names are beneath the layers, but all I need to do if I want to raise those up is I need to just grab these layers, and I'm going to give myself just a little bit more visual space on this. I can just elevate those all the way to the top. And so now those are on the top. Everything in Photoshop, everything in Adobe is kind of layers dependent and layers based. And now as I go through, they are on top. I also, just so you know, because they are sort of in the way, I only keep them for the first little bit. And then once they start asking questions, I actually cut them. And so here's me cutting the names out of the thing that I'm editing. And so name, and then they're gone. So anyway, all that to be said, I have just this template, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers, if you're watching here on screen, off to the left side, out of the way of any text or icons on screen. And then I also have X's, and I have them labeled over here in my panel, right? X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, X6, X7. But right beneath them, watch, if I hide this layer just with the eyeball tool, beneath it is a check mark tool. And so depending on what their answer is, I will then pull over either an X or a check when they ask the question. And so here in the game, they're asking a question, and all these are right ones. And so when they ask it, we just pull in check 1 right here from this Photoshop layer file over here on the left hand side. And so in order to get that in there, you finish editing your thing. So in this particular instance, in the 7 questions, the thing that they're thinking of was a dog. And so I put a picture of a dog here on screen, and you just swap that out for whatever the item is in the person's brain. And so then I save this file, save as, and I would go in here to where my file is stored on my hard drive. So in this particular case, this is what you would see in your download. It looks something like that. Go over here into Adobe Premiere Pro, and I am going to drag this item into my project bin over here. When I do, it gives me an import layer option in Adobe Premiere Pro. And if I hit this little drop down menu, I can do merge all layers, and that'll just bring the whole thing in as an image all together. Merged layers, individual layers, or sequence. You're going to want to hit individual layers, and it's going to break every single thing up into an individual layer. So now when I open it up, you'll see if I just preview these, here's my numbers, here's my checks, all the way down through. Here is layer 1. There's my TikTok layer. I don't need that, but it's just going to be in there. Questions, 7. So I'm using that to I'm going to animate those layers in. So right here, you'll see they come in right here, and we do some animations on those as they like fly in or flicker in, paired with like a sound effect. Here's their names, and those are going to be in alphabetical order. So N would be, for Nick, would be in alphabetical order here. In this Adobe Premiere Pro thing, it would be wherever N would go in the alphabetical list. And then here's all my X's. And again, it's in alphabetical order. And so X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, X7, depending on if they get it right or wrong. You can add sound effects down here. You can get them from free places, stuff like that. You can also, you want to keep it, like I said, under a minute. So I tend to cut out any of the thinking, or if the thinking is funny in any way, I might put a sound effect or zoom in on their face or put some sort of like funny thing on screen to kind of keep the video moving. But that's all you got to do, right? So if you are editing with Adobe products, this is how simple it is. And you can just take and borrow this template and use it to edit your videos. Now, in the last video, we talked about drafts, and this is my draft template, which is a little bit more intensive out of the simple and sheer fact because there are 10 things as opposed to only 7 things. Same concept though. We're going to save all these things. The only thing that's different is I use circles here. So zoomed in on screen, you'll see those. And this is apparently from a breakfast draft and also leftovers of a Bible Heroes draft. But this person picked bacon. And so what you'll notice here is that it's got this little arrow. What that is that's called a clipping mask. And so what I've done is I just snagged this picture off of Google, or you can do a royalty-free site like pexels.com or unsplash.com, links to those down below in the show notes. But you just simply right-click and you can create a clipping mask over this circle that's here, right? And so in all of these cases, the circles are already in existence. And so if you go through and I hide these things, this is a numbers with a circle base underneath all of them. And so I just copy and paste a picture. And so what I do, just to kind of show you how it's done, I might do, so if we're doing coffee products, I might do a coffee mug, find a coffee mug here, choose this one. This one seems cool. Copy. And so if I'm replacing out this template, I don't want bacon anymore. I select that layer. It's now selected over here in the layer selection panel. If I delete it, I released and got rid of the clipping mask. And now ellipse 1 is the one that is highlighted. And so you're going to want to make sure that that happens. Otherwise, there's just so many layers that you're going to kind of get lost. I'm going to paste this in here. And now this layer is on top of my ellipse layer. As I hit Command T to transform and adjust the size, I'm just going to adjust the size right over top of the circles here. Zooming back in so I can get it where I want it to be. There it is, in and in. I'm going to accept the changes, and now it's right here, but it's not in its clipped mask. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to click Create Clipping Mask. And I can then still adjust what is visible there on screen by hitting Command T and adjusting the size ever so slightly. And then one thing that you're going to want to do is label this really well. So this is the layer. Layer 2 is the layer that you're going to bring in on top of it over in Premiere. So let's say I'm the first person. So I just label it N for Nick and then 1. And so then that way I know that it's N1 and that's my mug option. And as long as it stays in this template, when you bring it over in Premiere, it's going to be exactly where you want it to stay. Now, if I wanted to change names, that's the beautiful thing about Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Premiere Pro is that if I have brought this over here, let's say back to our 7 questions, if I brought these in with names, but I got the names wrong, all I got to do is go back here into my student A, student B. All I got to do is just change this. If I wanted to change this name to Caleb and then click File, Save As and drop it here, replace, now back over here in Premiere Pro, that name is going to update here in just a second. It may take a minute, but it'll update over to Caleb. And so that's something I think that's pretty cool. You know what? This is actually from this is from a different layer. So this student B was updated to Caleb. So let me pull that in. Look, now it says Caleb. So, or now this will actually work if you're watching. If I change it back to student B and then I click File, Save As, replacing that sucker. Now over here, watch, there it went. You might not have seen it because it happens so fast. That's the beautiful thing about Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe Photoshop. So as I quit sharing my screen here, I just very simply want to say to all of you that these right here, especially 7 questions, are a really easy one to get students who have absolutely no editing skills to get going on editing. They're quick, they're easy to edit because they're under a minute usually. And so I can hand one of these over to them, and I can show them how to drag and drop the layers and make sure that they're in the right spot, add some sound effects, and off we go to the races. Now, moving on, we are in our 4-part My Church's Social Challenge videos. These are how I get more things done with students. We're going to move on to the 3rd video type in our strategy, and that video is linked right here on screen. So go ahead and click that video, and we'll see you over there. Don't forget that we are making digital discipleship easy, possible, and accessible. So as always, don't forget to stay hybrid.